Hello and welcome to Half-Baked Tales. My name's Victoria and I share one halfway thought through short story every week. They won't always be good, but I will show up. All stories are posted to my Substack if you want more or to read along. This is week number 2 of the podcast, so let's get into it. Half-Baked Tale number 19, Prometheus Unplugged. Prometheus was as human as anyone, and he thanked the gods for that. Gods are awe-inspiring, sure, they're majestic, otherworldly, and Prometheus revered them like the good little human boy he was. But he couldn't relate to the other children who boasted of their godly ancestry or compared themselves to immortals. Gods were far away and awfully fickle. He didn't understand why his peers would set their sights on a standard so impossibly out of their reach when the simplicity of humanity was right in front of them. He learned it early. Gods are set in their ways. Humans, though, are ever-changing. Every adult who raised him shared their own unique perspective on the world. Their personalities were filled with traits from Aphrodite to Ares, Hestia to Dionysus, Hermes to Apollo. One human can be a multitude. One god fulfills a single grand archetype. Of course, that archetype is beautiful and radiant. It cannot be denied. The reflection of their grandeur shone brightest in the eyes of their human worshippers. Prometheus loved to see it. Sometimes, as he gazed at the fire blazing behind the gods on their lofty perch, he would imagine that radiance shining directly from humanity instead, how they would prosper and change. If he could only reach around the gods, he could snatch it. Prometheus's love for humanity grew as he did. He loved their kindness, he understood their cruelty, and he wanted more for them. He wanted for them the prosperity and strength which fueled the gods. He wanted that fire. So Prometheus devoted his life to the scaling of Mount Olympus. He took years to master each section of rocky, mountainous terrain, growing ever closer to the summit. When faced with setbacks, he was reminded of his goal and found the strength to continue. Finally, as a grown man, he trekked the well-known path for the last time and arrived at the gates of Olympus. Small as he was in this large, godly world, he slipped easily through the gate bars. His eyes searched desperately. He scolded himself for not taking along a torch. He was considering the fatalities of setting his shirt ablaze when a voice spoke in his ear. Hestia's hearth will be well attended, but Hephaestus will be departing his workshop shortly. The voice was silken, beautiful, the speaker's breath warm like the fire on his ear. He turned and met gray eyes. Athena, the shining gray goddess, was a mere step away, eyes level to his. She had condensed herself to his size, his height exactly. Unbeknownst to Prometheus, Athena had observed his mission to scale the mountain and had allowed it to happen without interference. Upon seeing his arrival, she greeted him, but chose not to alert any of her family. They spoke together of his journey up Mount Olympus, of their shared world. She was proud and fascinated by the little man. Their conversation was informative and honest. Prometheus was surprised to find he did not withhold a bit of his intention. Maybe it was her condensed form, but he sensed a comrade in the great goddess. She gave his plan a moment's consideration and no more, and continued on with suggestions on achieving success. At last she wished him well and took her leave. Her body expanded, growing brighter and more radiant with every step. This transformation into the towering god, her true form, brought him to his knees and spurred in him a cunning determination to succeed. Outmaneuvering is unnecessary, as they do not perceive you as a player. You need only not alert them to your presence on the board, Athena had suggested. His way to the fire was clear. Do not be seen. His size was conducive to this plan, so he dashed through the shadows, ducked among billows of clouds, and tucked himself behind bushels of grass. The faces on the giants above observed him no closer than they would a bug. Reaching Hephaestus's workshop, his only true obstacle was sneaking past the sleeping form of a cyclops. At last he stood before the forge, roaring with that which he coveted his entire life. At last humanity would know the power and strength of the gods. Prometheus lifted a splinter of wood as large as his forearm, blazing with fire. When you have achieved your goal, run quick. You will be pursued. Athena's words repeated over and over in his head as he held the splinter high and ran. The dash back the way he came was made considerably perilous by the presence of the darting firelight accompanying him. It did not take long for the gods to notice, but still Prometheus pressed on. Not through the shadows, not cowering amongst crevices of this unattainable world. Out in the open, he sprinted towards the gates as great and powerful gods converged on him from every side. He reached his destination as a powerful foot landed near him, and he leapt off Mount Olympus. He tumbled down to earth, his body cradling the splinter of fire. His back, side, and head banged and bounced off rocks as he protected it. It never extinguished. His body and clothes were scorched and burned by the flames. He did not flinch. When he landed back on the ground, he threw himself up again and continued to run. His home, his people were in sight. He could already see them in a different light, changed from the fire he was about to give them. He gave a great leap, outstretched his arm, and threw the splinter to the center of their settlement. It lodged there, surrounded by humanity. It would blaze for them as it blazes for the great race far above. Prometheus smiled at his success. But the gods were close behind, and though they could not reclaim the fire Prometheus had freed, they could claim him. Prometheus Unplugged, the second draft in my half-baked series. This was the very first story I shared on Substack back in October, and I'm really proud of how far I've come since then. I'm extremely grateful to the fantastic folk who are reading and listening along to this podcast and these stories. My plan is to get all the Substack stories revised and recorded as podcasts, so I'll be intermittently revisiting them. So, my own take on the Prometheus myth frames the Titan as human-born instead, which is because when I first heard his story as a kid, that's how I thought it went. Until I was in university, I thought Prometheus was a really cheeky human who stole fire from the gods directly, and I considered him really heroic for that. No hate to the actual version. Prometheus betraying Zeus is equally as heroic. After rereading the version of Prometheus's story a few months ago, I wanted to experiment with how the trajectory of the story actually would be altered with him as human. So this is a first play at that. Thank you for listening. See y'all next week.